Okay, on to the main navigation menu here inside the high resolution design. Now, I should let you know what I'm shooting for here. What I want to do, what I'm attempting to achieve, is I want to recreate via CSS the same design that you and I created here for the main navigation menu inside Photoshop. Okay, give me just a second. Let me zoom in on this and kind of clear my screen up a little bit. Something like this, okay? So I think we can get pretty darn close to exactly what we've created here inside Photoshop, okay? In terms of the formatting of the menu items. So this is where we're starting, okay? Just the blue underlined text there. We want to make it orange, perhaps a little bit bigger, you know, this sort of thing, okay? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to head over to the external style sheet, of course, and I'm going to look for my nav. Okay, earlier on, you and I had created this nav here, the redefined HTML element there, of course. Okay, and the first thing that I want to do with this guy is I want to change the text alignment on this guy. So I'm going to go text-align, :space center. Okay, now I'm not sure that I'm going to get much of a result here because I'm running such a low monitor resolution here, but let me see what I get here. I'm going to save and refresh the browser. Okay, things do shift around a little bit for me. Now, what I'm winding up getting as well is this massive gap of space. We've seen this a couple of times already, haven't we? On the left-hand side of the menu, let me show you how to get rid of this extra space here. It's kind of a wacky thing that's going on here. It's related to our unordered list that we're using for our navigation menu, okay? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to head back into the external style sheet. And let's see, I'm going to try and keep this in some sort of orderly conduct. What I'll do is I'll give myself a little bit of extra space so you can see what's going on here. So there's the nav. There's the compound rule nav li. I'm going to drop my cursor just above that guy, and I'll give myself a little bit of extra space here. I'm going to create another compound rule, but this one is going to be called nav ul. So this is for the unordered list inside the nav element, okay? And check this out. This is going to be some weird code. It's going to be some WebKit code. I'm going to type in a hyphen and then WebKit, all one word, and then another hyphen and then padding and then another hyphen start. Okay? So this is the padding at the beginning of the unordered list. That's what's giving us this extra gap of space. Throw in a full colon and then type in 0 followed by a semicolon. Okay? And that should do the job for us. If I head back to my browser and refresh, there we go. That extra gap of space is gone, and now the entire menu is nice and centered inside the black nav element. Perfect. Great. Good stuff. Okay. Now it's just the menu items themselves, the formatting on the menu items themselves. And this is actually going to be pretty straightforward. Let's see if we can get this done here. I'm going to head back over to the external style sheet. I'm going to go and create a new rule for this. And once again, it's going to be a compound rule. This time, I'm going to call this guy nav lia. So in other words, a hyperlink inside a list item inside a nav element. Okay? Hope you're still with me there. So it's getting a little bit more complex here in terms of the conditional formatting, if you want to call it that. All right, so the first thing that I want to do is I want to set this guy's color. Okay, so I'm going to go color, :space. I'm going to be using RGB color values. Now, we want to use the same orange here that we had set up back inside Photoshop. So once again, what we would have to do is we'd have to head back to Photoshop and then, get into our layers panel here, for instance, and then get into the navigation menu itself and figure out what color of orange we had set there. Now, I've already figured out the RGB color values for us. If you want yourself, another option is you could grab your eyedropper tool and then sample the orange, something like this, and then pull the orange out of the color picker by clicking on the foreground color swatch, grabbing it that way. That's another way to do it, okay? Now, what I'm going to do, though, is I've already figured out my orange RGB color values that I want to use anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go back to the external style sheet, and I'm going to go and plug in those values. Okay, so I'm going to use, this is the RGB color value set that I'm going to use, 240, 120, 30. Okay, something like that. And then the other thing that I want to do after the semicolon there is I want to get rid of the underline on the text as well. So I'm going to go text decoration, There we are, :space none. All right. And I want to make the text bold, so I'm going to go font-weight, :space bold. And then the other thing that I want to do is I want to increase the font size just a little bit. And you might have to play around a little bit with your sizing. I think I'm going to wind up going with 15 pixels though. But again, you're welcome to monkey around with that a little bit. Go ahead and save up your work and head back to your browser and refresh. And there we go. There's a navigation menu that looks pretty darn close to what you and I had created inside Photoshop. And the other thing too I wanted to mention is sometimes, you have to give yourself a little bit of creative license, right? Sometimes you wind up getting into the browser, you wind up getting into the CSS, and you start monkeying around and you go, you know what, I think I want the main navigation menu to be taller. I want a little bit more height on there. Back inside Photoshop, it was a pretty narrow navigation menu there. I decided to increase the height on mine. Okay, so a little bit of creative license there. You can always make adjustments. All right, there we go. There's the main navigation menu. Pretty cool stuff there. Of course, we have the rest of the high resolution layout to go. So let's keep moving here.